you should never take anything any public figure says at face value, that's for sure. But especially Tulsi Gabbard, because she tends to present herself one way, and then you do a little bit of digging and you find out, oh wait, who she really is actually completely different from what she's presenting. And so she presents herself as, a peace-loving individual, someone who doesn't want to engage in forever wars. Although she was definitely supportive of the war on terror. And not too long ago even said that she is against regime change wars, but was supportive of the war on terror. Okay.
Ana Kasparian and Cenk Uygur, I have been saying, have been some of the most level-headed leftists when it comes to Donald Trump winning this 2024 presidential election. They have been one of the only leftist media outlets, and it's not all of the Young Turks, it's just Ana Kasparian and Cenk Uygur. The rest of them are absolute lunatics still. Ana and Cenk have been the only two people that I have seen on the left in alt media and mainstream media that are actually calling out the left for just being wrong. And that's why they lost this recent election. In this video, though, we have a meltdown from Ana Kasparian about Tulsi Gabbard being appointed as Trump's director of national intelligence, because apparently Tulsi is also a Russian spy or whatever narrative they want to spread about this. Let's get into this clip here where Ana Kasparian is melting down about Tulsi Gabbard being appointed the director of national intelligence for Donald Trump's cabinet.
As we mentioned earlier, Donald Trump made another big announcement today. He has selected Tulsi Gabbard, former Democratic Congresswoman, as his director of national intelligence. Now, in that role, she would have quite a responsibility. She would oversee 18 separate spy agencies. I think we might have too many spy agencies. We might, just saying. She would also assemble the president's daily brief, which is an intelligence summary given to the president every morning. Now look, there were all sorts of reports in his first administration about how uninterested he was in these daily briefings. I'll give you a little taste from the New York Times. In his first administration, Trump did not often read the written summary, but he held in-person intelligence briefings, often twice a week or more, engaging his briefers on world affairs, at least on topics that interest.
If you enjoy content like this, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
Interested him. Okay, that's good. I mean, at least he did that. So we'll see how things play out in his second term. Now, since the 2020 primaries, Gabbard has made a full 180 to the right. She started off on the left as a Democrat, then she transitioned to an independent, and now she is a Republican and Trump loyalist. She served in the military, so she does have some military experience, although she has minimal intelligence experience. Now, in the aftermath of the election, Gabbard stated that Trump's victory signals a rebuke of neoconservative war hawks, which is hilarious because that is not the case based on some of the Defense Department appointments he has already made. I mean, Marco Rubio is definitely a neocon, and he will be serving in the Trump administration in the State Department. And
I mean, I can't disagree with that one. Let me know in the comments how you guys feel about Marco Rubio. I wasn't even actually sure that Marco Rubio officially got appointed. Maybe I'm just out of touch, but I thought that was like really strongly rumored and then never actually got officially announced. Let me know in the comments, did that get officially announced that Marco Rubio is part of Trump's administration? Because if so, that is one of the few appointments that I am actually scared about, that I don't love very much. And it's really sad. I thought this time would be completely different. Trump said himself last time he was misled by a lot of people. A lot of people lied to him. A lot of people double-crossed him, promised certain things that he didn't deliver on, and he didn't know better going into it. Not only did he have an administration of experience now, but he also had 4 years where he wasn't doing anything that he could have researched. He could have sat back and just watched how people acted and then chose his cabinet based on that. And still, he's choosing some neocons like he is. Ana Kasparian is correct here about that. I don't think she's correct about Tulsi Gabbard's appointment, though. Let's continue listening.
Let's learn a little bit more about what we can expect with Trump's new cabinet.
In the results of this election, we saw, of course, a vast majority of Americans placing their trust and confidence in President Trump, delivering a mandate and rejecting Kamala Harris's agenda of open borders, of censorship, of free speech, of freedom of religion, of crime in our communities, her agenda of continuing to wage stupid, costly, and unnecessary wars that are counterproductive to the interests of the American people, and instead embraced President Trump's vision and promise, rejecting the neocons and warmongers of Washington, promising to end wars and prevent World War III and nuclear war.
Interesting. Okay, what I love about Tulsi Gabbard, one of my favorite things about her is even with that monotone delivery, she somehow manages to convince people that she actually believes what she's saying and that she's presenting herself authentically. Anyone, doesn't matter what side of the aisle you fall on, you should never take anything any public figure says at face value, that's for sure. But especially Tulsi Gabbard, because she tends to present herself one way, and then you do a little bit of digging and you find out, oh wait, who she really is actually completely different from what she's presenting. And so she presents herself as, a peace-loving individual, someone who doesn't want to engage in forever wars. Although she was definitely supportive of the war on terror. Not too long ago even said that she is against regime change wars, but was supportive of the war on terror. Okay. And I remember doing a deep dive on Tulsi Gabbard. After the deep dive, she refused to allow me to interview her, even though she was scheduled for an interview with me and Cenk involved. So here's a little taste of the segment that she didn't like. It would be misleading and unfair to my audience if I pretended there weren't some concerns for progressives. Most of the worries I personally have center on Tulsi's foreign policy views. While she's clear in her disdain for military intervention in the name of regime change, she is supportive of the war against terror. Think about how many interventions the US has found itself in since the Bush administration, all in the name of fighting terrorism, right? So I'm not just talking about Iraq and Afghanistan. I'm talking about major military operations in Pakistan, Somalia, and Yemen, right? These were all done in the name of fighting terror. There have also been US-led coalition airstrikes in Mali, Syria, Libya, and West African airstrikes in Nigeria.
Yeah, I mean, these are good points that Ana Kasparian is making here. I think there's a little bit of bitterness from the left wing, including Ana Kasparian and Cenk Uygur, about Tulsi Gabbard leaving the Democratic Party and coming over to the Republican side. I will say that there's a lot of contradiction in the Republican Party about this war stuff, coming from a lot of different people, not just Tulsi Gabbard. Ana Kasparian's correct about a lot of right-wingers who they say that they're anti-war and they really mean like they're anti like the Russia-Ukraine war and they want to end that one. And then when it comes to the Middle East stuff, they're like, oh, of course we're going to continue to fund Israel and just continue, to continue that atrocity that's happening over there. Of course, like they're our ally. Of course we're going to continue doing that. And it's like, it's just so hypocritical. Like why that one in particular are you so hard up about continuing? Whereas the Ukraine one, you're just like, oh yeah, we should end that one for sure. I think we should end it all. Why are we funding any of this stuff? Why am I forced I'm not able to opt out of paying taxes. I get arrested. And then I also don't get to choose where the money goes when I do pay them. It doesn't make any sense. Not only that, I don't get to choose and I don't get to choose to pay them or not, but they're being sent and we're funding bloodshed in countries that, I mean, I don't have any stake in who wins or loses this war. It doesn't affect my life at all. So why is my tax dollars going over there to fund this stuff? And you do have to be careful of people, not just Tulsi Gabbard, but just everyone who is claiming to be anti-war, anti-war, anti-war. And then when it comes to the Middle East stuff and they're asked about it, they're like, oh yeah, of course, we have to go fund Israel. We have to go continue to push that war forward. Like, what? Why? Why do we have to do that? I don't get it. So Ana Kasparian is correct about that. And I know a ton of people in the comments will get mad at me for saying that because you're also brainwashed into thinking that must defend Israel, must defend Israel. It's like, dude, wake the hell up. Why? Can you tell me why, please? Give me another reason other than, well, they're our ally. Tell me a actual reason why. Because technically Ukraine is supposed to be our ally too. So why is everyone so against defending Ukraine, which I agree with? Let's not defend Ukraine. Who gives a shit about Ukraine? but then they're so for defending that other country, Ben Shapiro's favorite country. I don't want to say it too many times because you're not even allowed to say the word. That's how crazy it is. You're not even allowed to say the word to criticize them about the funding that you give. So why are you so for funding Ben Shapiro's favorite country over in the Middle East and you're not for funding Ukraine? I don't get it. I agree we should not fund Ukraine, but why the other one? Why are you so hard up about it?
Those military actions ended global terrorism? Of course not. Tulsi's hawkishness toward terror has led her to support military actions I, along with many other progressives, disagree with. Torture tactics like waterboarding, which were given the euphemism of enhanced interrogations, was something that Tulsi was supportive of.
So look, I don't know how Tulsi plans to carry out her job. I don't know if she even has a say in regard to Donald Trump's foreign policy, or if she can convince him to engage or disengage with a potential conflict. What I do know is that I don't trust her. And what I also know is that, you look at Donald Trump's coalition of voters and it's mixed. There's certainly some Republican voters who probably agree with the hawkishness represented by the neocons and to some extent someone like Tulsi Gabbard. But what gives me a little bit of hope for this country's future and its foreign policy is that much like a faction on the left, there is a faction on the right that is serious about no longer engaging in these endless wars, no longer wasting our resources in being the international police. And I hope that—
You know what the really sad part is, Anna? I'm sorry to break it to you, but these countries who the faction on the right, there's a faction on the right. I'm part of that faction that says we should not be involved in these wars that have nothing to do with us. And there's a faction of politicians who say the same thing. The problem is the majority of these politicians are bought out by these countries who we are funding. Like, that's the reality of it. I know I'm trying to make this logical argument of why do you say that we should not support Ukraine, but then also you say that we should keep funding this Ben Shapiro's favorite country over in the Middle East. The reality is these countries are bought out by these countries and by these governments. That's why. And there's no stopping it. There's nothing we can do about it. Maybe off chance we get a politician, we get a president in there that says, let's impose term limits on people. Everybody in Congress, everybody in the government gets term limits. Maybe that way we can stop it. But other than that, we're just kind of screwed, to be honest with you. We're going to be forever involved in these wars because our politicians are all bought out by these countries. That's the reality of it. And if they don't vote to continue to fund these wars, they will not get reelected. It's as simple as that. So of course they're going to continue to vote and push to fund these wars, because if they don't, they're going to lose their power. They're going to lose their position in government. And that's the last thing that they want to happen. So that's the sad reality of it. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about Ana Kasparian. There's definitely some bitterness here with Ana and Tulsi Gabbard because Tulsi Gabbard, left the Democratic Party. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this whole Ana Kasparian versus Tulsi Gabbard situation.